to Valley Strange, episode number 6, in which we get into Satanic Panic.
Six.
And this is part 2 of the episode that we were recording earlier. And we went over about a bunch of
we weren't talking
Valley
about
Strange
any of this
news.
shit,
No,
really.
we weren't.
Yeah, it was just yeah.
So we're just going to get right into the actual topic itself. And it is Satanic Panic. And again, as mentioned in the previous episode, if you listen to our episode 3, which is Books of the Strange, in which we talk about the book Michelle Remembers, that kind of sparked a lot of the Satanic Panic. Satanic Panic is kind of like an overall theme here, but it's kind of sparked with satanic ritual abuse. That was like in daycares. People, according to the book, there was a girl who recollected these instances that happened to her, these incidents.
Right, through hypnotic suggestion.
Hypnotic suggestion through her.
Supposed hypnotic suggestion.
Yeah.
Missing finger people?
Missing finger people, defecating on crosses and Bibles.
What does this have to do with Michelle?
This is what she remembered.
This is what she remembered, man. Michelle was... You remember?
I remember.
I don't know if you were able to listen to that episode, Daniel.
I have not.
I'd recommend it.
Yeah, I've wanted to, but I still have a back catalog of all the other shit. Like, I still haven't given enough love to like our trauma crew. Like, I didn't even listen to the RoboCop movie episode, and I love RoboCop. I'm just kind of like bitter. I was like, why the fuck didn't I get a chance to be on that shit?
Mm-hmm.
We've combined forces with those trauma folk before, and
the Criterion.
Yeah, my bad. I remember.
Well,
but I will get to Michelle Remembers, and particularly now that I guess I can play ball on these episodes every once in a while, so I should see what we've covered, so that way I at least have a fucking idea of like, oh, when you reference this shit, I'm not just going
right. Well, this is
what does it have to do with Michelle? Yeah,
this is gonna be like just a quick what is the word I'm looking for? Recounting of some of that topic. So it was a satanic ritual abuse. Basically, was the subject of a moral panic, often referred to as Satanic Panic, that originated in the United States in the 1980s, spreading throughout many parts of the world by the late 1990s. Awesome. What was that?
Was there a dance called that? Because that would have been amazing.
No, but there should be. I already have thoughts in my head for the choreography.
Was it just like some kind of breakdance crab walk or something?
Does it involve
I was thinking of people
wearing
throwing
like
their
goat
hands
pants?
in the air for sure.
Goat pants? Yes, goat pants.
I'm already thinking about this dance now.
Yeah, but I mean, you do the dance in goat pants.
What are goat pants?
I'm thinking they need to wear vests too
Like,
for some reason. Just
Dragnet?
from Dragnet, the fucking
no shirt underneath.
Those wasn't necessarily goat pants, but they were goat chaps.
Goat chaps, my
There you
bad.
go.
Oh, those.
Great. Check out Dragnet too. There's a whole satanic
Panic.
ritual panic thing going on in that movie too.
Actually, the whole movie's about satanic panic.
That's true. It is. There is.
I hear a Cinequest in
I don't
this.
want to. I don't want to get too much into it because there would be spoilers as to who was heading the satanic ritual, in which people were putting on goat chaps and dancing around. No, it wasn't Satan.
It wasn't
It's
Satan.
not
Wasn't
Satan.
it? Wasn't
wasn't
it the
Dan
Knights in
Aykroyd
Satan's
either.
service?
No, it wasn't any members of KISS either. And again, we mentioned in a past episode that this did start kind of in the 1980s in the society, people getting all uppity about Satanism being involved in lots of their everyday activities. Like I said, daycares, music, movies, toys, you name it, Satan was there.
Albums.
Music. Yeah.
No,
Specifically,
full albums.
Yeah. There's and then there's movies that kind of played on a lot of that panic as well. Dragnet, which I didn't mention, but like there's some other movies that we'll get into.
It just popped into my head right now when you said the dance, and I was like, Wait a minute.
It's all those kids with their alternative music and their rock and roll
Mohawks.
And their jazz cigarettes.
Yeah.
Let me see here. Mm-hmm. And one of the questions was like, who is affected by the Satanic Panic? Primarily children and children's toys. Again, teenagers. A lot of the adults were the ones that kind of
led the children to believe that these were Satan items?
Well, I don't say they led the children, but they were the ones that kind of had that fear.
Right, they believed that these were to lure the kids to
And
Satan.
this was, I guess, propagated by the media.
Specifically,
governments.
A whole bunch of like
Tipper Gore.
the bored housewives of politicians.
Tipper Gore.
The bored housewives of Tipper Gore.
Actually,
the
it's kind of
PMRC.
funny, though. If you think about it,
and
everyone talks about, the Republicans are so hardcore on Christian values when it's Tipper Gore that started this whole thing in the 80s.
Democrat. Al Gore's wife.
Al Gore's wife.
Inventor of the internet.
And Man Bear Pig.
It's not tied to any one party. It's just tied to assholes and morons.
No,
and those could be anybody.
Here's the deal. Members of both of the major political parties are assholes that only want you to do their things.
Yeah.
Wait, are you saying they don't care about us?
That's right. They don't give two shits about you and me.
Yeah, where's Jamie to slide in and go?
Yeah.
We need that on the soundboard.
Get him to record that, Ray. Yeah.
I'll get that on the soundboard so we can just kick that in.
Whenever Jamie's absent or
Surprise,
doesn't get to it fast
And
enough.
our first gimmick is born for Valley Strange.
And they have an opinion.
And again, it started with the biggest impacts of Satanic Panic. Again, starting with Michelle Remembers. And there was a few other books that kind of led the way on that as well. I think there was a book that did come out before Michelle Remembers, but that didn't get as much.
When was The Exorcist printed, dude? Do you remember?
That was the 70s. That was the 70s.
That might have, if you really think about it,
I thought it had a little bit to do with it.
Well, I want to say it started. I think that got put a fear in people to go back to church necessarily, and people weren't fucking with the Ouija board and stuff like that.
You also had people thinking, Kiss was the devil.
That's true. Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, they
Gene
fucking
Simmons.
Well, yeah, the Knights in Satan service thing.
Yeah.
The Prince of Darkness himself.
Ozzy Osbourne. Black Sabbath.
Aleister Crowley.
Aleister Crowley. Yeah. I mean,
Going
but it didn't take a.
That didn't make the strange news about his house being for sale.
Oh, that's true. I forgot about that.
Bummer.
Anyways,
that's right. Yeah, that's true.
I think when it started affecting the children in a alleged physical
quote,
way,
unquote, affecting.
Yeah, quote unquote affecting the children, where there were actually people going and trying to sexually molest and have children involved in these ritualistic abuse type of situations that people really started freaking out. And then of course you have the conservative Christians or Christian evangelicals just
having their say, putting in their 2 cents and trying to figure out ways
putting out videos and little documentaries about the toys and stuff like
children's.
that. Yeah.
Well, there are instances where the church has used any sort of tool that they can get working to bring people back into the congregation and all that kind of shit.
Yeah, the first guy was called. The first one was Jesus.
Hey,
hey, man, that guy was a hippie.
So I mean,
that didn't land as well as I wanted, but
no, it's good. It's
bronze, I guess. Bronze still places.
Oh
right?
Shit! You know what would have been perfect?
You still stand on the podium.
Get a little. There's
a little sound effect on here that has the snare that. And I wish I had it available.
Is that channel active?
The channel is not active because we're using this right here. These are active. I can change these, which I'll do, but these aren't active right now because we're using this right here.
Bummer.
So,
which is kind of one of the downfalls of this particular device that we're using right now. We could use it if we had the Rodecaster, but we have this one right now, and this one works just as well.
Why didn't we get the Rodecaster?
Because it's $200 more than this thing.
I just threw that level of money at Jamie.
Yeah, I know. Don't worry, we're going to get one.
Yeah.
This is not the first purchase in our podcast studio.
Or the last.
No, it's not the last.
Or the last.
Are you kidding me? We're all going to get pod mics by the end of the fucking year, probably.
I'm going to bring out my classic mic.
Yeah, I know you want to use that.
We should play around with that if we ever finish it.
Yeah, we'll do that. Okay, so again, since we have talked about Michelle Remembers, again, go back and listen to episode number 3. We'll go into music. And that is where you get the Filthy 15 trials about suicide that are blamed on bands such as Judas Priest.
Ozzy Osbourne, too.
Ozzy Osbourne. He did have a song called Suicide Solution.
That's the one they...
That's the one
they blamed one guy's suicide on.
I like Judas Priest's, or rather Rob Halford's response to when people try to tell him things. What did he say? He's like, well, we're a metal band. We're not going to talk about flowers and like daffodils or some shit. Like,
actually, that list on that, since Roland brought up that quote from there.
Robert Halford, yeah.
What was it? The Filthy 15?
That's right.
I've got 3 of the albums on vinyl.
And they're fantastic songs. I mean,
They are.
I'm going to go through the list of the Filthy 15 in just a moment. Speaking of that trial, it says this is an article here that was printed in 2015, December 23rd. It says, when parents blame Judas Priest lyrics after 2 fans attempted suicide. It says, in a series of tragic events that ultimately ended in a pair of deaths and an expensive sensationalist trial, a pair of Nevada men ended a night of drinking, drugs, and listening to music by heading to the local playground and shooting themselves December 23rd, 1985.
so you say, man, they weren't like teenagers or kids or anything like that. These were grown ass.
They were either men or kids. I mean, if you're drinking and you're fucking taking drugs and you're gonna listen to Judas Priest and kill yourself, I mean,
I'd blame the drinking and the drugs.
I think Daniel said this once before in one of our
exactly.
previous episodes. It wasn't Valley Strange, but it was some other one. The award for the Darwin Award.
The Darwin Award.
Yeah.
And I stand by that right now. It says, searching for answers in their grief, the families of the boys, again, now they're calling them boys now.
Searching for answers.
They were 18-year-old and 20-year-old dudes.
Okay.
It says 18-year-old Raymond, I'm not going to say his last name, who died at the scene, and 20-year-old James, who maimed himself in the incident and survived for another 3 years, filed a lawsuit alleging that the
what
two
he died
gentlemen...
3 years later.
I think he died, probably killed himself again.
So,
Again.
He was
in
listening
other
to the
words,
new Judas Priest album.
The families
You know
were
what
looking for someone to sue. Or whatever,
Yeah,
to
looking
get
for someone to
money out
blame.
of it.
President, mission accomplished.
So they're looking for somebody to blame other than themselves.
Yeah,
He
obviously. right.
set its eyes on a goal. He fucked up.
It's not
but
my
then
fault.
This
It's
is actually an
society's fault.
inspirational story because he got to do what he wanted to. Like,
On his terms.
he's fucked up.
Fucking America.
He had to deal some consequences, deal some bullshit. But as soon as he got back on his hustle, guess what? He done did it. And I think that should be a good message to the kids out there. Like, so in light of Satanic Panic, this is actually something to go be a scientist or
Right.
go I don't know.
Just go.
Just
Go
go.
fuck
Just
yourselves,
do it.
people that want to
Nike.
Don't do what we do as a living, okay? Just do anything else.
I don't know.
And I think you
like
guys
my
will be
job
all right.
These
that I don't discuss.
they blamed subliminal messages hidden in Judas Priest's Stained Class album. Roughly 5 years after the incident, the members of the band found themselves
really?
in court defending their music in a case that, along with
Undertones.
legal woes suffered by the members of Two Live Crew the same year, gave voice to concerns of many parents worried about rock and rap artists. When Two Live Crew just talking about like fucking and stuff,
Yes.
people fucking willy nilly.
You know,
Yeah, pretty
Wow,
much. Yeah.
weird.
we'll get
I
to the
mean,
film. Is
that's
this
like
They have a
This is
song
this is
where
the
they
Judas
spend
Priest
about 3.5
This is Judas
minutes
Priest
saying
trial, yeah.
fuck
We'll get to the filthy
Martinez, fuck
15, 'cause I got a
Martinez.
point
I
to
don't
make
think Two
there.
Live Crew is problematic.
Well, we did talk about Ozzy Osbourne with the Suicide Solution song. It says he was going through a concurrent trial where let me read this proper. Perhaps most notable during the roughly concurrent trial accusing Ozzy Osbourne of driving a fan to suicide with his song Suicide Solution. But the Priest case proceeded thanks to a legal twist. Without commenting on whether or not the songs in question actually included subliminal messages, the presiding judge ruled that so-called subliminal messages don't constitute actual speech and are therefore not
You don't see
protected by the
fucking
First
people-
Amendment.
You don't see
Wait.
fucking people blaming the Bible or whatever for people that like run the whole "let Jesus take the wheel" bullshit kind of arrangements, or
I don't think
Like,
there's
come
been
on.
Jesus. I don't think there's been a Jesus take the wheel trial at the moment.
Well, there's going to be now. We
but,
said
like,
it.
If you want to be right, there should be. But specifically, what was it? One of you guys, or I forgot who was. There was an article not too long ago about some guy that burned down like an alternative bookstore or something like that because like the Lord told him to do it or something like that, and it
Well,
turns
I'm
out
gonna
that like
roll
his
in-
ex-girlfriend worked there or some shit
The
like
church
that.
has more money than Judas Priest will ever have. Okay, so
Oh well, sure. They've been fucking
Well, I mean, how many
robbing
people
everybody
blew up
blind for
abortion
centuries.
clinics because God told them to do it?
well, again,
Right? Yeah. It's
Still,
just,
yeah.
But they got convicted.
yeah. Still, exactly.
Yeah, but the church,
Yeah, but it's
the
still,
church can like wash their hands clean of that. They're
nothing
not
ever
gonna have
comes of
anything to
it.
do with that,
Yeah. That has nothing to do with us. We have good, clean Christian values. Those guys are just crazy. Now on to Satan.
And just a real quick part of this, the actual messages that they claim to have heard in the album were "Let's
right.
be dead" and "Do it." Nike says that shit all the time, and no one's blaming them.
What kind of
It's
do it?
very.
It just says "Do it." That's it.
What preceded
details.
do it?
I don't know. You should look up the lyrics to the song.
It's not specific enough.
Well, no,
if
it's
you
a
ask me.
subliminal message, so maybe you
Yeah,
have
yeah.
to play it
Right.
backwards.
Yeah, you'd have to play it backwards. yeah.
It's a
Backmasking or-
Palpatine suggestion. It's just in a tone of "do it," and it's up to the person in
These
question
messages
to,
were called an
execute
invasion
it
of
as they
privacy.
will. But
It said,
embrace your hate.
it said and quoted Jimi Hendrix as saying, "You can hypnotize people with music, and when they get at their weakest point, you can preach into their subconscious minds what you want to say." Thanks, Jimmy.
Oh, you can actually connect with someone with a medium that helps you. That's universal. That's
Math.
terrible, Jimi Hendrix. That must be. Oh my God, he must be fucking Satan's main right hand. I swear.
Well, he was doing witchcraft when he
sounds
burned that
about right.
guitar at Woodstock.
Oh,
I mean, they probably use that
right.
he
too.
was also on drugs.
Oh, yeah, he was on
knew what the
LSD
fuck is going on. Yeah,
Did some
He was
amazing
having a good
solos with
time,
that.
guys.
Okay, so in fact, the band's management coordinator said later, incredulously noted that the plaintiffs had at first planned to hinge their case on the lyrics from the album, lyrics that didn't exist. It says it was originally about the
Well
track
played.
"Hero's End."
The lyrics that don't exist
that's
on
a
defense.
track there.
That's awesome.
It says they tried to say the band were saying you could only be a hero if you killed yourself. till I had to give them the correct lyrics, which is "Why do heroes have to die?" Then they changed their plea to subliminal
Wow.
messages
How
on
do
the
you
album.
make that jump?
So basically, they
It's very
gave
idiots.
them the correct lyrics,
I mean,
and then
never
they
underestimate the power of stupid.
yeah, and then they changed their case to subliminal messages because obviously you can't
Right.
really. They already proved their case, so they had to go another route to get money for these people.
This current topic is making my head hurt with just the amount of stupidity attached to it.
That's why we're talking about it.
astounding.
Just wait till we get
guys.
to the filthy 15.
Yeah. Hold on, let me go back here. Again,
Things haven't gotten much
listening
better.
to
Still very stupid.
Michelle Remembers Daniel, you'll see how ridiculous it can get.
Oh right.
Yeah, because things get fucking wonky in that one. And again, we're doing backmasking here. We're going to talk about that as well because that's a lot where some of these subliminal messages come from. It says
Stairway to
And
Heaven.
if you don't know what backmasking is, I remember I talked to Joe when we first did our Anatomy mixtape
Watch Little Nicky.
episode, the Fueled by Satan. You remember that? Oh, I don't think you remember that. You weren't there.
I went
Documentary.
I
was
asked
you and
Joe
Joe.
if he knew what backmasking was. He said no, which I was
Yeah,
shocked
the
about.
documentary Little Nicky.
Wait, Joe didn't know what backmasking was?
No, he wasn't aware of that. Apparently,
That's
is
fascinating because I thought that was just like
it's just common knowledge,
that
right?
common knowledge. Yeah, right.
Okay, it says
Dumb term.
for those of you who are listening who don't know what backmasking is, again, vinyl is just coming back, and you can actually.
Well, you don't even have to use vinyl. I mean, you can take your audio file, dump it into an audio editing program, and just play
We're
it
talking about
backwards.
for common folks, man.
I can get free audio editing
Yeah, but
software
that's
on the
you.
internet.
That's you.
No, I mean it's you download it from CNET.
Yeah, but who's gonna do that shit really these days?
Well, I mean, all those Christian.
But it's more fun with fucking vinyl.
It is
though.
more
It's
fun, but it
more.
damages the vinyl.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
And it's bad for the cartridge.
it is true. Backmasking is a recording technique in which a sound or a message is recorded backward onto a track that is meant to be played forward. And backmasking is a deliberate process, whereas a message found through phonetic reversal may be unintentional. And I'm just going to go through some of these popular backmasking here.
To talk about
Stairway to Heaven.
backmasking right quick, I'm going to do a callback to our Hip Hop Apocalypse episode, or whatever the fuck we called it.
Hop Apocalypse.
When Ron brought that one track from fucking Kendrick Lamar, where backmasking was utilized heavily in that fucking track.
Yep.
Yeah, and we commented on that, but yeah, just sorry,
that's
just
right.
reminding me that like this is still like used in music, guys.
Oh, yeah,
this is
yeah.
a thing. So
I mean-
but now this is being tied to Satan.
Right.
I mean, they did that. The
context.
Beatles did that in A Day in the Life. They did a lot of the
Word.
orchestra stuff,
Yeah.
and they just reversed that stuff. And I think it was Strawberry Fields. It's where people got I think it was Paul is Dead or Turn Me On, Dead Man or some shit like that. But one of the popular ones that when I was a kid and going to church, I used to watch a lot of documentaries about Satan in music and stuff like that. And one of the ones they talked about was Stairway to Heaven. And the message in that one was like, Satan, my dark lord, and like worship Satan.
Yeah.
Master, I adore you. I love Satan, our dark lord and master. And one of the Beatles Beatles songs says, Paul is dead, man. Miss him, miss him, miss him.
Now, didn't one of the members of Led Zeppelin like buy up a bunch of Aleister
Jimi
Crowley
Hendrix
stuff? Though?
I mean, Jimmy Page, sorry.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah, he did. Yeah, that just added to the mystique
Yeah.
on that too. I mean, but if you look at their concerts too, with all the imagery and the symbols that they had there.
oh, even
all
on
that
their
shit-
album covers.
Yeah, all that shit. Wizards, fucking
Yeah.
druids, all that fucking shit. It scared people to death.
Satan.
Satan.
Save us.
The Filthy 15.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna say own it.
Yeah,
on a
I have
couple
no
of
idea what
these.
the fuck this is about, so I'm intrigued, boys.
Okay, so the
Tipper
Filthy
Gore.
15.
What up?
I'm trying to
Learning
go through
time,
this
Dan.
here. The Filthy 15. Number one here is, again, these are songs that the PMRC and Tipper Gore.
Well, I mean, we should give some background.
Yeah. If you want to do that?
Basically, Tipper Gore bought her daughter an album. I forget which album it was. Which album was it?
Which one? I'm sorry.
The one that she bought for her daughter and they listened to together,
I don't
and it made
remember.
them feel awkward
Oh,
listening to it together because it had some sexual content.
It was probably Cindy Lauper.
It was
Wasn't Madonna?
Wasn't Cindy Lauper?
She bought Purple Rain.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly. She
And,
bought fucking Purple Rain.
Then that's actually what started this whole deal. She formed her group and
wrote
went
a
before
book.
Congress and all of this, and basically pushed to get the rating system.
Right. Number one
Enforced.
on this list is Prince, and his song is called "Darling Nikki."
Own it.
Yeah, I own that. Yeah, it's a fantastic song. The
Ridiculous.
Foo Fighters did a cover of it, which is also pretty good. Prince's song from Purple Rain was actually written from the standpoint of a boy who was trying to humiliate a girlfriend who starts working for a rival. It was a reference to a girl masturbating that particularly enraged Tipper Gore. And looking back on the road in 2004, Prince has said simply, "Times were different back then."
Women didn't masturbate. I mean, straight up. Here's the thing, and it's discussed later on. But
It's masturbation, casual
Now,
sex.
would you like to play some basketball?
Yeah.
no, but I mean, if you look at it, no one ever had a problem. Like, I mean, yes, there was a problem with it, but any sort of male being sexual in a song or anything like that, oh, well, that's acceptable. But if if women, if they get the slightest bit of arousal as far as in the lyrics, it's discussing
Down with
that.
the patriarchy.
It's like Satan himself has come and
Yeah,
tickle
I mean,
the vagina.
it goes
control.
back to like
Brian.
that character of Lilith from
Because all the people in charge of this stuff are old
as like
dudes,
Adam's first
so-
wife, who was like
No,
domineering and stuff like that.
Tipper Gore had a problem with the fact that a woman might masturbate in a song.
She never
She's
masturbated.
supported
apparently
by-
not.
So these crazy old dudes are supported by their crazy old wives.
Brian,
No, it's.
when,
I don't like double standards. I'm sorry.
Oh, sure.
Brian,
Yes.
Should be fair.
when did you become such a social justice warrior?
I think women have just as much right to be sexually aroused as men.
King of the keyboard.
Yippee!
I mean,
Watch out when I get you in World War
See-
III, bud.
Like, whoever's
balls,
if
hey,
you're
we
listening
need to
out
get rid of
there,
this
I mean,
subversive.
if you're listening out there and you're a
You're gonna
woman,
put us on another list.
you can
Brian.
masturbate. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, if even the slightest reference that a woman might be aroused is in stuff, it's a problem. It doesn't have to be masturbation. But if a dude talks about, oh, that she's so hot, no big deal. And it's not a social
there's still
justice
some-
warrior
Because
thing.
it's a compliment.
It's
That's
not.
a fly honey over there. I'd like to smash that. That's a compliment.
But why were the
Why
Two
is it
Life
not
Crew
a-
in there as well? I mean, they were complimenting
They
bitches and hoes all the time.
But see, that kind of went down after the fact. I mean, listen
Yeah,
to
a
the
little
song "Love Gun," "Lick It Up." Come on,
oh yeah, sure.
those didn't cause problems.
Well, because
People are stupid, man.
I'm just
I mean,
be
there
straight
are
up.
still there are
It
women
Up is a
out there
terrible
that
song.
think.
But I
you
still jam
know,
to it though.
Yeah, I mean, but
Yeah.
Song number 2, Sheena Easton, Sugar Walls. And Sheena Easton was a person who was in Prince's circle, also very sexualized as well.
and this is where they actually discussed kind of the point I made. But
It says, it was
Spending the night inside my sugar walls. That is amazing.
blood racing
Yeah.
to my private spots.
Cool. I don't see a problem.
Men have never had to apologize for being sexy. Art is all about being free. If you don't like it, then tune into something else. And that was Easton, who was the singer of this track,
Yeah.
defending herself.
And it was written.
Right.
It was written by Alexander Nevermind, also known as Prince. It's a pseudonym
Yep.
for Prince.
Yep.
Prince was writing all kinds of sexual shit back in the day.
Prince is the man.
Prince is the man's.
Forever and
Song
always.
number 3, 1984, Judas Priest, "Eat Me Alive."
great album.
Defenders of the Faith.
Defenders of the Faith.
yeah.
I own it on vinyl. I recommend
Yep.
you should too if you have the opportunity.
Now, some of the lyrics from there talk
Eat.
about the rod of steel grown in the pleasure zone.
It point blank says, "Eat
Yeah.
me alive."
Oral sex at gunpoint.
What?
No, that's what.
That's
so
what it advocated.
That's not.
That's what they'd advocated.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, what do you have in your pants? Just another gun.
That wasn't a lyric from the song. That
Bang,
was
bang.
what Tipper Gore said the song was.
Yeah, she
It
argued.
sounds
That's
to
what she
me
took.
like Tipper
grown in the pleasure
Gore
zone and rod of steel.
might
means.
might have needed a little more attention from Al.
That's true.
This woman has a very vivid imagination.
That's
Well,
why
Alice
she
was
needs
working
more
on the
attention.
internet, buddy. He was busy at the time.
Yeah.
She was a bored housewife, not trying to fuck the
Having
next
to
upcoming
make up
congressman, man.
stuff.
Right.
Going back to what Roland said about what Rob Halford's quote, it says, "We're a metal band and we didn't sing about daffodils and roses."
No. Right.
Now,
It's easy to
who
understand.
was the lead singer of Judas Priest at the time?
Rob Halford,
And was he the one?
he's gay.
Yeah.
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 I
Imagine
think the only
that.
other singer of Judas Priest was Ripper Owens, who was he's the guy that they got because he sounded pretty much exactly like Rob
Right.
Halford.
as dramatized in another movie.
Yeah, called Rockstar with
Those people.
Mark
we don't-
Wahlberg.
Sex on the-
Yeah, Marky Mark.
Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch.
Oh, jeez.
Okay,
Who's now
so
going to hunt us down and kill us
this
for
is
bringing that
this
up.
is song. This is the third song from someone who is in Prince's circle. Vanity, Strap On,
Fourth.
Robbie Baby,
I wonder what that's
1984.
about.
Wild Animal was a debut
She
solo
missed
album of the Canadian
whole
singer.
point of Satanic Panic.
I mean, she
Yeah.
Sounds like sexual
Changed.
panic to
Sexual,
me.
sexual.
I mean,
well, sexuality and
arguably.
Satan, kind of the same in the same vein, according
But-
to them. You know,
I mean, point blank, I think somewhere in the Bible it says you're supposed to go forth and multiply. And last time I checked, the way that was typically done was through sex.
But she just feels bad about showing off the goodies.
She's just one of those.
For those of you who don't
Christian
know, everyone here has seen, I don't know, Brian, if you have seen the movie The Last Dragon.
I may have, but it's been a long
Vanity
I
is
haven't
the
seen it in a
girl.
long time.
Vanity is the girl in the movie.
I can't remember, so
Yes, please.
I'll have to
Brian,
watch that.
holy fuck.
Watch that movie.
Yeah.
I've been a little busy for the last decade.
Okay, so
Yeah,
Brian, okay, you can
mega hot, it's
okay,
fine.
you have a computer in your pocket with a phone, right? So you
I
can
have a phone.
Access. Yes. So you can access this movie on this device while you're out playing Farmer Brian.
It's hard to drive the stuff and watch a movie.
drive, drink.
Mount it.
No, I can do
Two.
that on the lawnmower. I can
Oh,
drive
yeah.
that.
Now, again, the lyrics that kind of
This is the
Lawnmower's
time to
got a cup
practice then.
holder.
How are you ever going to like
Can multitask, man. I believe in
learn
you.
Latin while fucking plowing fucking
Learn Latin while plowing.
random fields?
There you go.
Oh yeah. well,
Roland,
just
do you have
plowing.
do you have the article brought up on
works.
your phone or anything?
Yeah.
Can you
What's
read
up?
some of the lyrics that are in Vanity's song?
Oh, so
these are
if,
so good.
if you want to glide down my hallway, it's open. Strap yourself in and ride.
Oh yeah,
Which weren't written by her. It was written by her boyfriend at the time.
Robbie Bruce.
Yep. Let's see.
Not Timac, unfortunately.
After that, though, she
Is a hallway
That's
the
fucking
best
hilarious,
way to describe things?
right,
Well,
yeah,
hot dog
hot
in the
dog in the hallway
I don't
metaphor,
know.
or whatever comes to mind.
She was with Prince. She's been around.
Yeah. So after that, she posed nude for Playboy, but before she died, she said she regretted everything.
Yeah, because she turned into a
again, like I
Christian.
said
She was a
before,
born-again Christian.
She did the born again. She's young. She regretted being young and irresponsible, a silly woman laden with sin. Who the fuck speaks like that? Like, really, you all of a sudden became a nun.
Bible thumpers, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually,
Seeking truth in Jesus Christ set me free. Like,
I found out she became a born-again Christian on an MTV documentary of like Where Are They Now kind of thing. And they interviewed her, and again, she basically what you just said right now. She said all that stuff. So let's move on to the next song, number 5. It's Motley Crue's "Bastard," 1983. Shout at the devil.
Also a great album.
Yeah.
You should buy it on vinyl.
Yeah.
That's very good.
Yeah.
It says singer Vince Neil said years later, once you put, because they were going to put the parental advisory sticker on these albums.
Oh,
It says
they
once you
did.
put a sticker on that parental warning
Backfired.
sticker. Yeah, once you put the sticker on that parental warning sticker, that album took off. So it sold more albums.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
So
was
it totally
like-
like backfired on
Buy
everything,
this
yeah.
one. Now, if you think about if I get, what song was it off of there?
It's Bastard. And the song lyrics are about stabbing someone to death.
All right. There's Bastard. There's Shout at the Devil. There's Helter Skelter. All on one. And there's a few more. I can't.
But Helter Skelter is a cover.
It's a cover, yes. But I mean, still, that was Manson's jam.
I will concur with you, Brian, with I think your overall point being like it is ridiculous of what songs they're picking from, what
Yeah.
songs were picked from these artists. Yeah, I feel that with a lot of the fuckers
It's like
on this
you
list.
could have done so much
At least the
better.
ones I know.
Like if you
Oh, yeah.
want to say,
10
this
Seconds to
song's
Love, Danger.
Well, that Danger's not that bad.
Too Young to Fall in Love, Knock 'em Dead, Kid,
Knock
Looks
'em
to Kill.
Dead. Looks at Kill. That's
God
that's
bless
sexual.
the children of the beast.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
And
Which
the
is instrumental.
Untitled
Still.
Otero.
Number 6 is AC/DC's "Let Me Put My Love Into You."
Fucking love that track, dude. Yes. Let me cut your cake with my knife.
That lyric is profane, right? The band claimed the attempt to censor them was satanic intolerance.
We need a parental warning on the picture for this podcast
Yeah, we should.
because we've said a lot of really bad stuff.
I can put that on there.
Brian, it's fine because we already, whenever we share stuff, it's just like, this is not safe for work. This is not safe for like most people. This is like,
Oh, I know, but graphically we need it.
Speaking of which,
don't want Tipper Gore coming
the
after
times
us.
that I do share something,
whatever.
I take a bet with myself. If the clip is a minute long, and you see people listening to it, and I have that not safe for work little GIF on there, you see when people start to drop off whenever that moment or the punchline is, and it's always a graphic thing that we say. People drop off, and it's fucking hilarious.
Could you tell the anecdote about the way? And could you explain how you were able to track the listeners, like when they dropped off from listening to the clip where I was talking about that?
Well, that's shared with our like Instagram stories and stuff like that, primarily, or Facebook stories.
Well, typically though, people on Instagram are only going to stay through one or two.
Well, the thing is, normally like the clips that we have, you'll see the viewers at the first, the second, the third. And then you'll see everyone, but as soon as the punchline is usually on the third, and then the fourth is the reaction. And usually when that clip comes up, you see everyone drop off.
Before it or after it?
On it.
On it.
Because some people are listening to it.
Oh, I was listening to some of the stuff in the hallway at work and went, nope.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
I'm walking through there, it's like, ooh, there are people here.
That Santa is no longer Santa, and he's about to get some fucking nanny, you know?
I don't remember which one it was I dropped off on.
And it was an Ernest Saves Christmas, so it's not like we're talking about anything real. First, Santa's involved.
Right,
Secondly,
because I think the actual phrase that you use is he's about to get some pussy. He's about to plow.
Yeah, some shit like that.
And you're pretty out in front. And that was funny. Okay, so the next song is number 7.
I stand by it.
Twisted Sister, We're Not Gonna Take It.
What?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. And that's just a song about rebellion, boring ass parents. You wanna
I actually
you're not gonna take any bullshit anymore.
This one was like pretty tame compared to all the other ones.
Oh yeah, it is. There's no curse words in there. There's no like talks about drug use or alcohol or
doesn't talk about any violence or any of that shit.
This is actually D. Snyder got called before the congressional hearings on this whole deal too.
Yeah.
Surprised me a little bit.
It says Snyder said, "It strikes me that the PMRC may have confused our video presentation for this song with the meaning of the lyrics. It is no secret that the videos often depict storylines completely unrelated to the lyrics of the song they accompany. The video We're Not Gonna Take It was simply meant to be a cartoon with human actors playing various variations on the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote theme. Each stunt was selected from my extensive personal collection of cartoons." And it's because the kid, I Want to Rock, hits that fucking guitar chord. Dad gets blown out of the window. And then you have all these dudes dressed up in drag coming in saying, "We're not going to take it."
Well, I mean,
D. Snyder's scary looking. I'm not going to say it. Like, he does look fucking scary.
Yeah.
But yeah, he did go before Congress and said his piece. And I think they were expecting him to come in like full get up,
right?
And he had a well-written speech and said his piece and walked out. Oh, the next song, number 8, is Madonna's "Dress You Up." Now, lyrics to this song is "Gonna dress you up in all my love, all over your body." That's it.
No,
that's literally
terrible.
It's fucking. Now, the next song is one of my favorites. I love this song. Number 9, Wasp, "Animal." Fuck you like a beast. Fuck like a beast, sorry. That song is fantastic. It is so good. And let me see.
Well, this one is for Chipper Gore.
Yeah.
They should at concerts, apparently, or enter the song with those words. Yeah.
And by the way.
God damn it. God damn it.
Yeah.
Are you reading that last part? Yeah. He became a Christian too. And Blackie Lawless is stopped performing the song. By the way, if you want to see the discography of Wasp, you can go to Razorfist YouTube, and it's a very extensive discussion of the discography of Wasp. And I was shocked when I heard this because that's the first time I heard about it. Number 10 is Def Leppard's "High and Dry." It says, "I got my whiskey, I got my wine, I got my woman, and this time the lights are going out."
I got my whiskey. I got my wine.
That's whatever, you know.
I got my woman. And this time.
So when did "Pour Some Sugar on Me" come out?
Oh, after like 1988.
Okay.
Merciful Fate, number 11. Now this is where you get into the real shit.
I'm so happy this
Into
popped
the
in.
Coven.
Yes.
The PMRC claimed that the song fostered an unhealthy interest in the occult and its plea to come into my coven and become Lucifer's child.
I
That
love
seems more
King
Satanic
Diamond.
Panic, right?
Yeah, that seems legit.
King Diamond is fucking awesome.
Yeah,
It says
yeah, and like go
So
ahead.
sex is scarier than Satan.
apparently.
That's what I'm getting out of this.
Yeah, it's number 11. What? And King Diamond said that the whole thing was just pathetic. We thought they must have been really bored to have time for this, obviously. And how they saw those songs said more about them than it did about us. Thank you, King Diamond. Number
Straight
12.
up, sex is scarier than
Number
Satan.
12. Black Sabbath trashed. I'm not familiar with the song. I don't think I've heard the song.
You know what? I was.
I'm
I'm
not.
this was obviously
No.
what the Dio era, but
It's 1983. When did Dio come on board Black Sabbath?
Ooh, yeah, it's Ian
No, it's
Gillan.
singer Ian Gillan. Right.
Yeah.
It said it's Bill Ward's the drummer. He crashed a car. Ian Gillan said that Trash was in fact about how he had crashed drummer Bill Ward's car during an alcohol-fueled race around the grounds of the recording studio. And he claimed that the real purpose of the song was to act as a warning against driving under the influence.
By the
There you
way,
go.
thank you, discoveredmusic.com, for being our source for all this stuff. We're basically just lifting all of your crap for our purposes. So thank you for that.
well, I mean, we could have gone to the
Fucking come after
congressional
us.
record, but that was going to take way more time.
No.
Poor research.
Mary Jane Girls 13 in my
You could
house.
be doing that on the tractor.
I'll satisfy your every need and every fantasy you think up. Not too bad. Venom. Now we're getting possessed.
Yeah.
And why are they picking this song? There's In League with Satan, which is a fucking great song. I don't know why they're picking this fucking song. It says, I drink the vomit
right, there are
of the
so much better
priest.
candidates.
That's fun. Make love with the dying whore. That's not too bad.
Well, see, sex
Nah.
is scarier than
Yeah. You're going to make love with the dying whore. And here we go with another woman. Number 15, the last one. Cyndi Lauper, She Bop. Another song about girls masturbating.
Is it really though?
Kind of is. Says, I want to go south and get some more. They say I better stop or I'll go
Yeah,
blind.
better stop or I'll go blind.
That's about
Yeah.
masturbation.
Or bad alcohol?
It
that
says,
moonshine,
Cyndi
you know.
Lauper noted, sex sells in the music industry. It was a scandal. I brought shame upon my family. She said it with a smile. Cyndi Lauper's cool.
That shit makes me happy.
Yeah, Cyndi
Good
Lauper's
for you,
fucking awesome.
Cyndi Lauper.
Okay, so that's it with the Filthy 15. That is music in the realm of Satanic Panic.
Two songs.
Yeah. Now, mind you, there are plenty of other songs and artists, even to this day, who kind of use Satan as imagery.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the
Ozzy Osbourne.
I think because
totally
actually,
didn't
I
make
think
the
because
list.
Facebook fucking, I
I
think, has been
mean-
listening to our conversations in multiple ways because all of a sudden I was scrolling through the other day and I've gotten multiple occasions of various kinds of bands, but they're all like classified as like vampire metal and
Roland, that sounds like something you'd listen to. Roland, is there a vampire polka, vampire pirate metal or something?
Cyber
sounds
goth
interesting.
vampire.
no, it's
Interesting.
vampire new jazz hop.
They're gonna say vampire new metal. Like, is Fred Durst involved in this? Speaking of which,
Oh,
no,
you know, it's
How dare you.
just a little side note. This has really nothing to do with
Satan.
this, but the other day I didn't have my speaker in my car, so I was listening to
I'm
94.5. So they had 3 songs or 2. Two. I think it was like after the second one I kind of shut it off because I couldn't take it anymore. They started playing Limp Bizkit again on 94.5,
No.
and they did.
It all for the nookie.
Well, I guess it has
No.
been like 20 years. They're classics now.
They did Rolling. Oh my god. And My
Wow.
Way. Those songs are fucking terrible. They're so fucking bad.
You're just now realizing
No,
that?
no,
don't
no,
even
no,
know
no.
if I know
Because
My
I haven't heard
Way.
them in such a long time. You know, I mean, they were bad then, but I sat through My Way
When it
just
was
to see.
refreshed in your memory.
When I sat through the song My Way, and I was like,
Like,
holy
nope,
shit, this is written
This is bad.
terribly. It's so fucking bad. I don't know why Fred Durst is
Yeah.
even allowed to make music, man. God damn.
He's an asshole, but
Oh, yeah,
you know,
sure.
they tend to be.
Now
So,
we're gonna go to the movies portion of this Satanic Panic. Movies that kind of played on Satanism or Satan in music, and I've seen 1, 2.
Here's where I
3.
basically shut up.
Rocktober Blood. I have not seen this one. This is 1984.
Nope.
Hard Rock Zombies. Have not seen that one. Trick or Treat is the one that I'm more familiar with. We have Ozzy Osbourne and Gene Simmons who starred in this one, or not starred, but like cameoed in this one. And it is about a rock star who worships Satan, burns alive in a fire, and a high school kid purchases one of his last albums, and he does the whole backmasking thing, and then pretty much summons the rock star in his satanic ways into his life.
That sounds awesome.
And
I remember a movie,
which movie?
The Gate.
Yeah, the Gate.
Oh.
The Gate kind of does that as well. I mean, not
backmasking was in
yeah.
there, and it unlocked the fucking demon little hordes of little claymation dudes.
starring Steven Dorff from Blade.
Fuck, really?
Yeah.
I did not know.
He's a little kid in that movie.
Holy shit, man.
Yeah, man.
All right. Mind
When was this list
blown.
compiled?
When was it compiled?
Yeah.
I made the list.
Oh.
Because I'm familiar with some of these movies. Trick or Treat, I think I still own, but I've seen that movie a
Don't
bunch
you
of
own like
times.
the Redux or whatever of Trick or Treat?
No. There's two. There's Trick R, the letter R, Treat, which is. I'm sorry. There's Trick or Treat, which is this movie. Trick or Treat is the new movie that's like an anthology.
Okay, that's
That
the
talks
one I'm
about
thinking
Halloween,
of. The newer anthology.
No, Trick.
That's one
okay.
we watched together.
Yeah, Trick or Treat is actually. It is 1986, and it stars the guy that was Michael J. Fox's friend in Family Ties. Little nerd.
Oh,
Nerd dude. Yeah, he's a nerd kid, and there's a weird scene in there which I completely forgot when I recently saw it, probably like last year. Again, there's this guy who's feeling up some girl in a car, and then this fucking turned into like this green demon monster, and shit goes haywire because there's tits, there's monsters, there's tentacles, there's like weird
I think I
shit
saw a
going on.
clip of that somewhere on the internet.
It's probably on YouTube. I'm almost certain it's on YouTube. You can watch it there.
Oh, and so when I brought up The Gate earlier, that did come out in 87, so that does actually fit in this list pretty well.
Right, yeah, for sure. There's also
sorry,
Rock and Roll
wanted to
Nightmare.
follow up with that.
I'm not too sure if Rock and Roll Nightmare. I think that has to do with like these manly dudes who kind of like are
Do rock and roll things.
yeah, and it's like
and have
Satanism and stuff like
nightmares.
that. But like that movie's fucking hilarious. That movie's on YouTube as well. And there's also Black Roses, which is another rock. Oh, by the way, Rock and Roll Nightmare, I believe, is the one where the guys are playing at a high school prom, and they fucking like start blasting people with their guitar. They have like electricity coming from the guitars and shit like that. Same thing happens in Trick or Treat too. Trick or Treat, sorry. The satanic rock star appears at the school dance, and then starts killing people, almost Carrie style, you know. And then we have Black Roses, 1988. Again, I don't want to go into too much into any of these movies. They all deal with Satanism and Satan in rock and roll metal music, and you should check them out. We'll probably do them at some point for CineQuest, so you can check out the discussion there for those.
October will come back around.
That's right. And now we're going to go into toys and games. And this is just a quick little list here. But I want to talk about... I don't want to talk about this because I don't know too much about it. But Dungeons and Dragons is probably the primary...
I mean, that was kind of a
one.
given.
Yeah, obviously.
It's kind of a given because that started around the time that, you know, more of the same, like censorship in video games and
you know,
It started
that
in
sort of
the...
thing.
what's interesting,
the
Plebes
70s.
Quest is here to help.
Yes, please, gentlemen of Plebes Quest, can you indulge me on Dungeons
Actually,
and Dragons?
Brian, would you please like to dish your little nugget you were about to drop?
Well, I mean,
interrupted
that
on?
Dungeons and Dragons actually goes back to like the 70s.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But
I
again,
can't remember when the first edition came out, but
Actually, I knew a guy that had kind of that was involved in a beta edition. He was from where it originated before it became a formal, finalized thing. But I mean, it goes
that's cool.
Yeah, but it goes way back. I mean, you could say, of course, I'm just going to throw this out there. I'm not a serious gamer in any sense of the word. But I mean, anything where you get to make up stuff and there's magical powers, that's going to offend someone's sensibilities.
Oh, yeah. And you have kids, sequestered in garages or basements or,
Right. Well, they advocated or argued it.
And they're talking about, as you said, like spells. Yeah.
Right.
And
witchcraft, suicide, murder, pornography.
And you're fighting goblins and whatever else
Mythical
your DM wants to throw at you.
demons. Mm-hmm. No, they have the undertones or whatever for.
It's all there.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's.
What you're
But
saying,
it's whatever
bullshit.
Because it's about the campaign you're doing. Like you can do whatever the fucking D&D. Like it's pretty cool, and
it's all in
I
your
don't know,
imagination.
I've played a bunch of campaigns, and I don't feel like I'm like. I mean,
closer to the
Satan
devil
rules, but yeah, I don't feel like it's pulling my
feel
soul
like,
to go off a crowd of people.
Do you think you've conjured any form of the upside down?
I feel like
Absolutely not.
I feel like going to the library and vomiting some blood over in the children's section for a little while. It's good to get the toxins out of your body occasionally, right?
I mean, as far as like Dungeons and Dragons is concerned, I mean, there's imagery of, obviously, wizards,
all kinds of fucking
goblins and all kinds of shit.
You've got men playing women, women playing men, cats and dogs living together.
Mass hysteria.
And just so it's known, I am actively in a Dungeons and Dragons campaign now, but it's actually been set in the Star Wars universe, which is really fun.
I've played that shit off and on since high school.
I started some in grad school. There's a bunch of types of Dungeons and Dragons like games, and they're just.
It's not even my favorite kind, but it's up there. Yeah,
it's just fun social time, and you basically spend about 72% of the time talking about dice rolls and laughing at people rolling shitty or going, "Holy crap! You somehow rolled this piece of plastic across the fucking table." And it managed to do get a good number that you hit something imaginary with.
Right. Yeah. And all of a sudden we're summoning the devil. Right.
Yeah. Satan.
Yep.
My cult training is complete. Onwards.
On to the next campaign.
I have to roll some dice and see if I summon
what's up
Satan.
with He-Man?
Okay, well, let me. There's an article here about He-Man and Satanism. And let me just mention there is a documentary that, not documentary, but like a clip on YouTube or a clip from an old documentary. There was a guy named Phil Phillips and Pastor Gary Greenwald. I saw this a couple months ago. It says the two men who realized the demonic agenda in everything from He-Man to the Smurfs, and then they assembled the video together. Now, these are like quotes from the actual documentary, stuff that they actually said and that they said with some kind of conviction. Dungeons and Dragons game pieces scream when you set them on fire. The dice?
Apparently someone's never burned random plastic before in their life.
No, that's just the sound of players from the basements of their parents' place, like going, "No, my character's dead," because they probably had some sort of thing in their thing where it's like, well, minis are cheap, and if your character dies, they have a ritual burning, and it's just kind of fun because we're 13 and fire is awesome.
They talked about Smurfs. Smurfs are blue with black lips, just like corpses. So Smurfs are walking corpses, promoting like necromancy.
How many corpses wear little hats and overalls?
Apparently,
this is legit, guys.
An entire culture of corpses.
Where are the black lips ever for the Smurfs?
And why is there only one female Smurf?
Because
she's a whore.
One female corpse.
She's a goddamn whore.
Well, it's because Smurfs are like bees, man. They have the one queen.
Yeah, but Papa Smurf was the one in
that probably
charge.
holds water.
Now, mentioning Star Wars too. Satan.
So
There's a form of witchcraft in Star Wars called Obi witchcraft. The fuck, right?
The Force?
That gets me
it's called the
hard.
So
like that.
Did you find anything about He-Man specifically?
Yeah,
well,
there's
a little bit
another one
here.
called He-Man Satanic Propaganda or Neo-Nazi Recruitment Tool.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
actually,
one
that was
or the
cool.
other, not both.
That was a cool
That's
one.
laden. That's
Yes.
layered. That's
That
hot.
that was the article from 2013, right? I
No,
saw
this is
that
another one. Yeah, 2013. Yeah,
A
sorry.
little late to the game there.
It says, according to a post
yeah.
made on the website this month, Mattel and Filmation Associates designed the program to convince children to accept the Antichrist. And it says there isn't much an argument per se, but some photographs and Bible quotes. So I'll try to make some sense of this. And this is a guy like just giving us some of their reasoning here.
Yeah,
Says
no,
we
I'm
watch
listening.
we
Yeah.
watch Adam turn into He-Man by drawing his power sword and absorbing the lightning, signifying the power of Grayskull. This
As
we
you
are
all
told
know, Adam
is
is the first man.
this really is the power of Satan from Luke 10:18, the same passage other biblical.
Right.
This is his word, not mine. Nincompoops tried to say was Barack Obama in Hebrew. That's weird. I saw Satan
God
fall
damn it.
like lightning from heaven.
Well.
So I mean, they're saying like him using the sword and the lightning. That's like him
Invoking
summoning
a
Satan
dark
from
force.
Heaven. Yeah.
So like Highlander.
Okay.
Kinda
Okay.
like, yeah,
cool.
So
All right.
Highlander
Yeah,
is also
yeah.
promoting the Antichrist.
That's right.
So they
There
also
can be
said the
only
same
one.
thing, something similar about Thundercats, as far as the imagery went. There's a thing here I found a reference to the third eye. When he placed the sword of omens to his forehead,
Oh,
was
yeah,
he was
word.
planting the seed of Hinduism,
Give me something on sight.
good, upstanding American children.
But there's no Satan is not like a
No,
Hindu
but that was
thing.
believed to be that interest
Yeah.
in Eastern religion would inevitably result into an interest in paganism.
And
like
thus away from the
Christmas
church.
trees aren't a thing.
But those have been
or
co-opted, man.
Easter eggs.
But those have been perfectly co-opted somehow.
Right.
People bought the narrative.
Those are acceptable to the
or
board.
narrative melding, but come on,
Okay,
Brian.
so-
People be crazy.
I know.
Be
I know.
crazy.
Okay,
you're,
so
you're injecting way too much logic into this.
the context of the
It all
sentence.
falls apart under that.
It says the context of this sentence is completely different from that of Daniel and comes in passage about exorcism. Similarly, Revelations 13:13 also said to apply to He-Man is from yet another context. And it says, and it performed great signs, even causing fire to come down from heaven to the earth in full view of the people. The it, quote unquote, the it is the second beast with horns on its head, and He-Man does not have horns. But they're still saying that those are quotes that they're using to
so
prove their
you
point
know
that
how all
He-Man
this
is satanic.
bullshit started.
Go ahead.
Some mom walked by their kids watching He-Man and Thundercats and saw Mum-Ra and Skeletor just like once and went "Ah!" and caused all this fucking fuss.
Yeah.
Clutching the pearls,
Because they're like, oh, a skull dude and a mummy.
fainted
Well,
away.
That
mean-
didn't bode well for my Clyde
too
and
scary.
Junior.
To be
No,
fair,
whatever.
I mean,
Fuck their names
He-Man's
are.
fighting the
Purity.
skull dude, though.
Yeah, he's sure he is. But
Yeah,
he's also
so- wait,
Castle
if he's the
Grayskull.
anti-
Castle
Skeletor,
Grayskull
so
is a
they're
giant,
like- they're
giant
like,
fucking skull in the
oh.
back.
Wait,
you know?
wait. If He-Man's the Antichrist and he's fighting the skull person, does that mean Skeletor is Jesus?
That's what I was about to argue. See, because they're like, Skeletor's trying to take out this He-Man guy, and he's blaming He-Man for all this shit. And so the moms were like, man, He-Man probably made him a skull person. You know, but he's going to get resurrected and get restored through the power of that magic in that world. And that's Jesus.
Rise, zombie Jesus.
Now,
Skeletor.
continuing with the He-Man
Skeletor, our Lord and Savior.
Yeah, let's go.
parallels,
I'm ready.
it says, as He-Man is wrapped in light and screams out that he has the power, the author
God.
sees this as reflecting
Jesus.
2 Corinthians 11:14, and no wonder, for Satan himself masquerades as an angel of light. It said, an author is also particularly taken by the Scandinavian style St. George's cross on
So-
He-Man's
George's
chest,
cross.
a Swedish
Did Corinthians
Freemason
just
symbol.
negate Jesus?
What was that?
that passage in Corinthians just like negate Jesus?
No, you're taking that out of context. You can't do that. You can't do that.
Well,
I'm just wondering. I mean, they wrote it down.
Did Jesus ever glow? Like, was that a thing that it was ever listed? I'm not up on my Bible.
Well, I mean, the glow is a thing.
He's
So
usually surrounded
if
by
like one person,
what
if
do they-
in
what do
history
they call
Jesus
them?
did exist, he would have had
Halos?
the glow.
Corona. Yeah.
Hey, Ray,
Yeah.
if Jesus had the glow, what color do you think it would be?
The color out of space.
Shut up. I don't know. I don't know.
I'd go with X-ray. It's X-ray colored.
It would be Octarine, Daniel.
Speaking of Skeletor,
Ocarina. Oh, I like that.
Yay, Skeletor!
Skeletor says, our author sees Skeletor much like the neo-Nazis recognizing his ram's head staff as an occult symbol and accusing him of stealing the
and
powers
Nazis
of
use skulls. That
Eternia.
makes
Yes.
sense. Okay.
Wait.
I buy that. Like,
Hold on. So the
There's more.
Antichrist is
There's
going to
more.
fight neo-Nazis? That's a thing? Like, okay, so you got to pick a side. You either want neo-Nazis to
We
win
are
or the
being saved by
Antichrist.
Satan.
What the hell?
See, the thing is,
those
it's all
writers in the
confusing.
80s,
Right?
they offer those impossible situations to the kiddos.
No.
Either
Stop
hail
that with that
Hitler or
logic.
hail
That's
Satan,
bad.
but you don't win.
This is going to get you like laughing on this one, right? It says the author accuses Skeletor of idol worship, expresses shock that he performs pagan yoga positions during magic, and objects that he visited ancient ruins in the shape of pyramids, which are obviously anti-Christian.
And
since
isn't it
pyramids
cool
are
that the guy,
associated.
like, with
Wait,
the power
wait,
of Jesus
wait.
is about to go slay that guy? Like,
Yeah, that's the confusing
God damn it.
thing about like.
I'm just...
Wait. So
I don't get this at all.
Skeletor uses
I'm
yoga
so-
magic?
Huh?
Did you say Skeletor uses yoga magic?
Yeah. No, it says
He
he
did.
uses
Oh, that's
pagan
what they
yoga
did. That's
positions
what they
during
said.
magic. So but I guess it's kind of the same thing.
So basically, there are studios all around the U.S. where people are stretching for Satan.
Yes. Yoga
never
is
knew.
Satan.
That might explain.
Yeah,
some things.
I headed
Now-
over to the Pearl Brewery earlier today, and we walked right by a hot yoga studio, whatever.
Actually,
So,
the hot yoga
all over the
stuff
place.
that was started by a guy who had his own cult. That documentary's on Netflix. Well, not cult. He was rapey.
All right.
He-Man.
Brian, you mentioned like you're questioning about how is the Antichrist fighting neo-Nazis and all that kind of stuff. Here's the question. The author of this article was like, I'm not sure I quite understand how both He-Man and Skeletor can be agents of Satan if they also battle one another. It seems somewhat counterproductive for satanic propaganda.
Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah.
They're vying for Satan's favor.
And the Smurfs' logic is just as ridiculous, you know. Again, attributing the Smurfs to corpses because they're blue.
Well, I mean, according to the Bible.
What are they going to talk about the Simpsons because they're yellow? Like,
Well,
I'm not going to say anything.
no, hold on. Because I believe somewhere in the Bible they start talking about the dead rising from the grave. So maybe that's a post-apocalyptic thing where everyone's all been set out, and the Smurfs are the only ones that found favor with the Lord.
But they're satanic.
That's not for me to decide. That's up to Jesus and God.
Yeah, they banished, was it Gargomar?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Smurfs got rid of his ass, and he was in exile. Like,
In a river of
Gargamel was
fire,
probably
a lake of
the
fire,
Luke Skywalker
ocean
of their era,
fire.
just misunderstood. So he's just like, well, I guess I'm not the hero you guys need. And he goes into exile, but then he wants to go interact with them, and he wants revenge because he's been seduced by the dark side at this point. That's how evil the fucking Smurfs are. They're an influence, but they're not inherently evil. They're a gateway.
Right.
So just keep your kids
Down
going to
the
church, and it's
path.
fine.
Well, speaking of going to church, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles also in league with
So that
Satan.
sounds a little weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's an article here published in 2012, January. It says, in this series of clips, the religious program breaks down why just every single piece of popular 90s media is dangerous for the moral well-being of children. And then they go into a list, a few of them. It
Jesus
says
fuck.
MC Hammer, Vanilla Ice, Dungeons & Dragons, Goofy, Rock and Roll, Fruit Snacks,
Goofy.
Fruit snacks?
The Simpsons, and no one escapes unscathed. Everything is fucking.
What about
the riddle of
Gushers?
Satan. We won't
Kool-Aid
get into
Jammers?
Their primary
Sun.
target for this bastion of satanic influence, the Teenage Mutant Ninja
Dunkers?
Turtles.
Or Dunkins, whatever they were. The little kangaroo packs.
Dunkaroos. No?
Dunkaroos. Thank you, Brian, to the rescue.
I don't know how I remember that.
Well, I appreciated it.
Now, as I was going through this article here,
So the Turtles, yeah.
yeah, the Ninja Turtles. Hold on here. Give me just a second here.
Oh, pardon.
Does that mean that Shredder is the agent of God and the Foot Clan angels?
Probably.
What about Krang?
This other article comes from Comic Alliance.
Shredder is the angel Gabriel.
Huh.
Okay, it says, let me see here. Give me just a second. It doesn't get too much into it. It's basically saying that Teenage Mutant Turtles are messengers of the devil because it has to do with paganism. And let me see here. Necessary disclaimer.
Like it was,
just
a
like to
part,
say
of,
that
it was a part of the culture that they were trying to blame. So it's like He-Man, Thundercats, Ninja Turtles,
Yeah.
you know. And then like all the horror movies that were coming out.
the
Hellraiser,
reason
Nightmare on
that
Elm Street.
Ninja Turtles is like got complaints is
Pumpkinhead.
because of lack of good Christian attitudes
Oh, Pumpkinhead's
in
good.
regards to the media geared towards children.
I really like that one.
I mean,
Fuck you.
turtles walking and talking, a rat talking.
Yeah.
They're also fighting people. Violent.
Just kinda
Bebop
got
and
folded in.
Rocksteady.
Bebop and Rocksteady. Yeah.
That scientist that became
Okay, well then get it at the source. There's violence.
Baxter
for
Stockman.
violence sake, basically. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For instance, here,
I used to have his action figure. It's awesome.
this is a person who was quoted regarding their reasoning for not being against the Ninja Turtles. It says, I used to be a big fan of the characters of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but when they started talking about new age junk, like when Michelangelo in the cartoon said, you gotta be totally zened out, they really turned me off. As a responsible young Christian, I will not pollute my mind or my 6-year-old brother's mind with this stuff. P.S. Read your Bible. It works wonders.
because finding peace is not like a Christian thing. Peace and
You can
balance.
find a lot of those
we don't want
videos.
that.
And the person who was interviewing this person corrected him, said, sorry you feel this way, Andy. However, Zen is not New Age. In fact, Zen was brought to China from India in the 6th century, later finding its way to Japan in the 12th. And has been described as a special teaching without scriptures, beyond words and letters, seen directly into one's nature. Zen is not a sect, but an experience. In all, it is another way of looking at the world. It wasn't meant to offend you, dude.
It's about achieving a state of like Wu Wei that they talk about in
And
Zen
some other person
and
said,
Taoism, particularly.
some other person said,
God damn it, sorry.
I like your fighting,
cut
but
me
I
off.
don't like the meditating. I think it's satanic, so I haven't bought any of your comic books for a while now. And I'm asking you to take out all the meditating now. Thanks. And it's talking to the people who created this shit.
Christians meditate.
They
What
pray.
the
They pray. It's different.
No,
it's all
there's
different.
both.
I think they
point blank
referred to
fucking
that,
went over with meditation with us, the freaking confirmation classes.
Yes, I think they called it praying.
No. Two different things, man.
And then here's another person saying, I think you all are cool, but in issue 23 is regarding the comic, there is a mutant that has 3 eyes. In the Bible, it says 3 eyes are a symbol of the devil. And I'm not saying that I don't like you dudes, but try not to write and draw that junk, okay?
Wait.
There's
So
there's
they're
another-
fighting the devil, and this is a problem. What the fuck?
Because that fighting the devil leads to worshiping the devil. Yes. As you all well
See,
know.
that's the problem I have with some of these Christian groups. If you have a satanic image in there, and it's representing a force of evil, as it should in the Christian opinion, that should be bad. We need heroes to come in, like say a Jesus or a saint or any good Christian with a cross that can banish this character.
Man.
Right.
Like,
Or
how can you be
a
pissed
four
off?
mutated turtles named after
Renaissance artists,
Green
yes.
Enlightenment artists. Thank you.
Here's another quote. We'll do
save us.
We'll do one more quote and then we'll move on from this. It says, I recently purchased several Ninja Turtles Adventures comic magazines for my sons. As I read through one, issue 33, I was greatly offended at its content. The title of the adventure was The Karma of Kathmandu. New Age and Buddhist rhetoric and subject matter filled the magazine. I, along with a vast number of parents, strongly object to this type of imagery filling our children's minds. Never again will this mother purchase one of your comic magazines without carefully previewing it. I plan to inform my friends of the contents of the magazine so they too are aware of what I perceive to be brainwashing of our children.
So they too are born.
Please consider my point of view.
Dare my Jeffrey learn about new places in the world just experience? Like, it's fucking asinine.
Wait a
That's
minute.
the most asinine bullshit fucking ever.
Wait.
God damn it.
They are teenagers. They're mutants. They're ninjas.
They're turtles.
And they're turtles.
Yeah.
So kids are stupid and parents suck.
So ninja.
But
Is there any chance that there might be some sort of Eastern philosophy involved with these ninjas? Maybe.
Nope, just fighting in Jesus.
Just fighting in Jesus, fighting for Jesus, fighting against fighting against three-eyed beast. Whatever.
Fighting against them devils.
And I mean, I personally have had experience with someone who was not able to watch the Ninja Turtles movie because their parents thought it was satanic. And yeah, I had a birthday when I was a kid, and I just purchased the Ninja Turtles movie on VHS. And a lot of people came over to watch the movie, and unfortunately my friend couldn't come over because the movie was satanic, because it had Ninja Turtles in there, and they were obviously going through all these like little quotes in here. Yeah, they're like walking demons pretty much. And
fighting other demons.
Wait, what were they called in part 3? The ghosts or whatever? Demon ghosts?
Oh, fuck, I forgot about that.
Well, we were watching part 3. We were watching part 1.
But part
the
3
series, the
kind
good
of
one.
technically happened before part 1 because of time travel.
It didn't get released
true,
in time for Ray's birthday.
Kind of true, but kind of no.
Okay, so that's just a general overview, and it's exhausting to hear these people make all these claims.
I am
much.
so freaking tired emotionally from
emotionally,
this.
yeah, it's exhausting to hear because I mean, none of this makes sense. It's all just circular talking, trying to this thought process that just doesn't resolve itself in any way.
Back asswards argument.
It's tautological. In
Oh.
nature. Ooh, a tautology.
Don't
They
do
just
that.
build these little tautologies and weave their little tautological nonsense in tautological ways. And I know you love that word, Roland.
I
Just
so very much.
Valley Strange was meant to be an exhausting podcast for us. It's supposed to take a lot out of us, you know.
I'm pretty sure I've been exhausting for our listeners, so sorry, dudes. You know, how can we fuck up though, man? Think of all the shit we hit on this episode, though.
Are we
And
done?
presumably
I
if we
mean,
read
we're
our,
not even
like,
done yet, are
intros
we?
right.
No.
What was
No. But if we write out, if we put shit like, oh, we talk about Ninja Turtles, we talk about fucking rock and roll.
We should just
talk
list
about-
everything we referenced as a hashtag.
Oh yeah, I always do that.
No,
I try.
Yeah,
Like,
but
even for the
episode
news.
descriptions, all that shit, you know,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
but a
Elon
little bit more
Musk
like
and all that.
more like outliney than we usually do, because usually it's just like we're talking about this broad subject, and we're talking about this little bad attitude or whatever, like rolling speeches thrown into the episode descriptions.
Which are hilarious.
But I don't think we could fuck up in this episode because we're talking about the Turtles, rock and roll, you know,
D.
Satans
Snyder and drag. Hey, you know, that's
and here's
come to think of it though, that's something none of these Christian groups have mentioned in any of the stuff so far is the whole cross-dressing stuff.
Oh, it comes up.
Oh,
but
I
it's
know,
not
I know
something
it
we're
does.
talking
We
about
just
here.
haven't gotten there yet.
No, that's not something we're going to talk about here because I mean that's also ridiculous. I mean,
Well, like
the stuff that we are talking about is exhausting.
this
enough.
is not a safe space. We
Yeah.
are.
I will say,
bitter men in
I
our
admit, I
30s.
have heard,
No good can come of it.
I have heard Christian groups coming out against like Bugs Bunny because he put on a dress.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Definitely.
when going through the music and some of that other stuff, I mean, D. Snyder dressed like that.
I mean, to go
Yeah, he dressed like
into
a woman.
thorough.
He didn't give two shits.
I mean, Motley Crue. I mean, those guys on
Poison.
They wore more makeup than
No. If you
most
open
women.
like the Shout at the Devil album, because it's a single pocket, single LP, but it opens out and like the way they're dressed
Oh yeah.
and
You
made
know,
up.
Speaking of that, when I was a kid, I had a poster of Rats on my wall, and yes, the '80s band Rat. And if you look at all 5 of the members in the picture, again, it was a landscape type of picture, and you go through each one of them, they all look strung out. One of the guys looks high as fuck on heroin. I find out later he's on heroin, obviously, right? And his fucking zipper's down. And I have this fucking poster on my wall, and no one said anything about it because you know what? I love Rat, and I love the song Round and Round.
But you know, it's
okay.
so rock and roll too to be all heroined out and not give a fuck about your fly being down. Just all in a photo.
Yeah, they
and,
all
it's
strung out.
Just
all
put,
strung out.
put his pants on him and get him out here and hold him
Yeah.
up. All right, you
I can't
good?
wait to drink some heroin.
All right,
That same guy later died of AIDS. So
bummer.
it's sucks for that. But speaking of going through and narrowing down our satanic panic, Satanism in the Rio Grande Valley, we're going to talk very briefly about, not briefly or extensively.
It's
however you wanna
everywhere.
do it. Yeah, it's everywhere.
like
valley.
we mentioned before.
Personally,
Personally,
being a kid who grew up in the evangelical Christian church, I had a lot of experience with people talking about Satan in music, being worldly, secular music's of the devil, movies are of the devil.
That's terrifying, man.
Yeah, it
like
is, yeah.
me coming up, man, it was just like everyone's just like, hey,
Art
it's
is of
kind
the
of like
devil.
cool. We all hang out a little
Right.
while. Right?
Make sure
Nah,
you sing
man.
at church.
Sing some songs about Jesus or whatever,
Right.
and then
Sing
like
a song
have coffee
about the
afterwards, and then like
Jesus.
sometimes
No.
build some shit for people. Like it wasn't a bad program
No, like-
overall. Like
Ray was like one
well-
step above the snake dancers or whatever.
Well, one
Yeah,
step below. I didn't get to that point.
Below? No, I was saying above because
Above. Okay, as long as above, I guess,
if you think
whatever.
that's
Well,
better.
it depends on your frame of reference.
Well, I'm
Right,
thinking
you're
more
right.
of
well, I mean,
the extent
like,
of what you're
it
going
depends how
for.
much of an archaeologist
Right,
Ray is. I
excuse me.
guess.
Yes, from the perspective of the devout Christian, you are correct, Ray. It is one step below the snake.
Yeah, because you take that extra
Snake
step, and then
dancers.
the snake dancing comes
but
up. You know?
from
Man, because there was a lot. I was witness to a lot of.
How far of
Exorcism?
a step was it though, Ray?
Oh,
oh,
it
you
was like one
witnessed
step,
like
one step.
straight up exorcism?
I
But like how is it like a baby step or like a?
I'm gonna say
like
one good stride.
A good stride.
Yeah, I'm gonna say
Alright,
good
cool,
stride,
Right. Ray, I'm glad that you and I both came up with stride.
yeah, it was a stride. Yeah.
That just
Yeah.
fuck, I love you, man.
I saw a lot of people get quote unquote exercised in the church, where they would
Oh,
pray
laying
over the
on
person,
hands.
laying on hands and like vomiting, let the devil out, like all that kind of shit. I
Yeah.
saw that. There was a lot of
Ray,
dancing in the Holy Spirit.
you
You know,
yeah, I've seen a lot of that.
a lot of
You're
people
not
being
weaving
possessed by the
yarn,
Holy
are
Spirit.
ya?
What was that?
you're not weaving a yarn, are you?
No, I'm
Or
being,
spinning a
I'm being,
yarn? There you
I'm
go.
being completely serious.
I believe
Dude,
it.
that is like, I mean, I believe you, but it's like it's just
It's
holy
bizarre.
crap, man. Like just I knew you came out of the church and shit, but I figured it's like more of a casual because you're like, yeah, it's kind of cool. I played in the band. It's like, oh, I kind of played in the band too. It's kind of cool.
No, man, it was
And
it was pretty intense.
My soul is
man.
black.
and no, like, and so I figured it's like, oh, we had probably relatively similar experiences. Mine was pretty chill. And Ray, goddamn, buddy, you know, fuck.
No, I mean, I saw this plenty of time. I saw people running around, like laughing hysterically, and they were saying they're drunk on the Holy Spirit. A lot of laying on of hands.
When they say
falling
drunk
over.
on the Holy Spirit, do they mean the
was
blood
no-
of Christ?
No, there was no alcohol involved.
Well, that's the problem. There's no alcohol
Well, yeah,
involved.
there should have been alcohol involved.
Jesus' wine that he turned into blood had alcohol.
And I used to watch a lot of documentaries on, since I was a big music fan, I just came out of like listening to like all the 80s metal, Def Leppard, all that kind of shit. I would watch a lot of documentaries on Satanism and Satan in music. And all these documentaries that are on YouTube now, you can watch, talk about, again, the Beastie Boys, Satanic, McDonald, all the ones that we talked about on the Filthy 15 and plus a lot more. I used to watch those willingly. I willingly watched all this shit because I was scared for my soul, and I didn't want to. All I listened to was Petra, which was 80s, early 90s metal Christian stuff, and Striper.
Okay, I was about to say, Ray.
Striper still was kind of like still iffy, because they were on MTV, and MTV is of the devil.
But they.
So
it's funny. I was thinking about a song for our next Sin Quest, Navy mixtape, where we talk about our February mix, because there's a song about banging that I just wanted to throw in, not because I think the song's really good or fitting, or I really think it's a great representation of what I wanted to do with that artist. It just he straight up says this is for the devil within the first few seconds of the track, and that's
oh man, I'm waiting for that one as well. But yeah, so again,
I think it's gonna be really good.
I would watch TBN a lot, and I would send in donations to get the books. The first Left Behind book that had nothing to do with the series, but the actual thorough, quote unquote thorough book about Revelation and how people are gonna
what the fuck, really?
Yeah, I did. I read all
the
this
Left Behind series, but wow.
No,
cool.
this was written by the guys who started the Left Behind series, but this was not supposed to be a fictional account necessarily. It's supposed to be
so it's like LeVey and that other dude. Yeah.
This was before all that.
The Nick Cage movie.
I did, yeah.
Oh,
I saw it, yeah.
Shit.
I watched the first few bit
I never got a chance to check it out.
It was fucking ridiculous. Fucking stupid.
So that's my personal experience with the Satanic Panic, so to speak, in my own existence. I don't know if any of you all have anything relatively close to that.
No, I was pretty opposed to all of that shit from the get-go. So I remember one of the churches I went to, the priest called me Smiley for the longest time. I was like, yeah, it's because I fucking hate you. Yeah, because I would sit there and just all right, let's get this over with, and he's like, come on, let's be happy and merry. And I was like, yeah, no,
that's fucking awesome.
I don't fucking like you. And this was a guy that blessed my house even, and I was just like, why?
That's why it's still standing, Roland.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so
summons the kitties to the holy place. Since you have 8 million cats at your place, man.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, I rode down the road. I actually met Daniel at his church way back when, and I forgot about it until a couple years later.
Roland remembered that, which is fucking funny.
I just happened to ask him. I was like, "Well, you're from La Feria. I went to the church there for a couple of years, and then you told me you asked a friend, do you remember, these two people, my brother and I?" And he's like, "Oh yeah." And I was like, "Fuck, okay."
Yeah, it was a trip.
Right on.
Roland and I were meant to be.
Hey. No, man. I mean, I don't really have much to say about it other than just oh yeah, okay, let's believe in the big invisible guy up in the sky or whatever, responsible for everything.
So are we going to get on these Vally articles?
That is correct. We are going to move on to that as
right.
next.
There we go.
All right.
Okay.
Because I thought I was going to Google the third one on the list, Ray, but I totally just dropped the ball. Reasons.
That was something Roland had mentioned, and I didn't have too much.
Okay.
I just wanted to hear Roland's.
The third one or the fourth?
Third.
I think
the fourth
you mentioned.
Yeah, I knew the fourth one was yours. But
you know who said that? I'm sorry.
Kind of bullshit.
That was supposed to be Bryce. Bryce was the one that mentioned the Donna sacrifices, which I don't have any information on. But I mean, again, if he was here,
actually, I was on the phone with Chris earlier, and I was talking about. I was like, oh yeah, dude. Apparently, there's some Satanism in the Valley. He was like, what? And
I mean, yeah, of course.
I looked up. So that's when I did because I think. Where you added these late, because I went through the list earlier and I saw all of the music stuff. I skipped the Filthy 15 because I didn't really care at the moment. Mm-hmm. But
It had been a little while since I'd read about any of
I read
that.
the other shit, and then so finally I read the Valley stuff, and I think that you added that late because I remember like the turtles and stuff being on there, but I don't remember the Valley stuff because I went through every link the other morning.
They were there, but I don't think I had like you know what, I honestly don't remember when I actually added them because they were on my phone.
Okay, yeah.
But I didn't actually copy and paste the link to the actual document.
Okay, because finally I saw like the Valley stuff, I was like, oh, okay, that's there.
I don't know if Roland, you had come across or like when do the article with the Satanic Fears, Donna's gang crimes linked to the occult.
That one,
I read that
I
one.
think that article was in '98, right?
Yeah.
I think that they
yes.
fucked up. I think there's a colon in that title because when I was reading it earlier,
This is from the Brownsville
I was
Herald.
sober.
By the way.
yeah, I was fucking sober. So listeners, if you're still with us,
Thank you.
okay, here is the fucking title of this article. Satanic Fears, Donna's gang crimes linked to occult. Satanic Fears? What? How does that fit in? Okay, so you're talking about linked to occult, but what about the Satanic Fears? I think there should have been a colon after Satanic
Probably.
Fears or like a hyphen or something because that's almost like a non sequitur for fuck's sake. Like,
Well, it is the Brownsville Herald, so
Yeah,
I did take that into account, but
Brian, you said you went through the
Yeah.
article.
Yeah, I read that one.
Do you have any?
Brian, do you want to go? Do you want to like talk about
Well,
it?
I do
like
live,
just talk about like, what happened to start with. Yeah, you're close.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ! Okay.
Okay,
Oh, fucking
what
A.
just happened?
Jamie and Brutus just came in, and we have the headphones on, so we can't hear anything, and we just see this Brutus kind of run behind us and kind of freaked us the fuck out.
Well, no, I heard the garage door, but I thought it was something else because as the door was doing its thing,
Yeah.
like there was all kinds of racket over
Hey.
here. I'm like, what the
Yeah.
fuck?
Would you guys tell Jamie I said hi?
Jamie,
Jamie Daniel says hi. Where the fuck is he?
I think he
went
may have
outside.
gone outside with Brutus.
Yeah, I did go take a pee.
Ew.
I will let him know.
Well,
together.
anyway,
Brian?
sentiments sent.
Basically, they. How old was the kid? I don't remember that. But some youngin.
Oh, I have it right here. 1 second.
He's 12 years old.
Okay, some 12-year-old
Yeah.
kid.
You live near there.
I do live near there.
And it was a 21 or 20-year-old and a 15-year-old that killed the dude.
Killed him, and I think removed some.
They removed
components.
his arms,
Yeah,
legs, some
limbs,
teeth, and his scalp.
some teeth, not all the teeth.
Sorry, I just meant some
he was
teeth by that. Like,
dismembered.
Right. I mean,
yeah, dismembered, scalped, and some teeth were extracted.
the whole. Actually, come to think of it, if I didn't want a body identified, that might be what I would do. I mean, not now with genetic
Right.
testing, but
But his face is there.
back then. Well, it depends on how scalped he was.
Well, a scalp is a scalp. You know,
I know, but I mean, if they don't find him for a few days,
Okay, time to hit the dark web, Jamie, and look for the like photographs from the crime scenes and shit, and we'll settle this debate.
no. Anyway,
Would
so,
you let Jamie know that that's happening? Is he back yet?
He's
I think I hear him.
in and out and
He's in and out doing
around. He
something.
doesn't have headphones on or anything.
But you guys could tell him.
Oh, we'll let him know.
I think now he's going to his
Allegedly.
He's going to
restroom
go take a shit.
or do whatever it is
yeah.
that he does.
God damn it, I can't win. Okay, anyway, let's get back to this.
Okay, back on topic. So basically,
I just want to connect with Jamie.
the kid was dismembered. Well, killed, then dismembered. Well, they don't really say, but basically, the body was found dismembered. And the Donna PD was going over all of all the.
So like the two kids confessed to it. if I'm
They
not mistaken.
confessed to it, and they were
And
gang members.
some folks were covering up for them. Yeah.
They were gang members, and allegedly a bunch of the gangs over there were satanic. But it's
a few of them.
Well,
Yeah, a few of them have included ritualistic, probably hazing or some shit.
yeah,
that's been
Labeled as satanic in nature.
that's also been documented like in some of the I guess cartels in Mexico, like the Zetas.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
like,
it's honestly, it's
cannibalism and shit like that.
It's probably nowadays more prevalent with the cartels. I don't know.
Yes,
If I really
yes.
talk
Yeah,
about
no,
them.
like it was like the Zetas. Like I have like a reliable source on like a situation where somebody was offered like a situation with the Zetas, like
No, I
that involved
I'm not,
like eating people.
I'm
But I won't go into it.
Yeah, I just don't necessarily feel comfortable talking about them and their business at the moment
This particular moment.
where I live, which is nowhere in South Texas.
Brian, you're not wealthy.
No, I just don't want to
You
discuss.
don't bother anybody.
That's the thing. I don't want to
It's
bother
fine.
them by discussing their business. But
so we
it
just
is
ended up- 'cause
documented. in the
they're
news.
piped in right now. Yeah, they're listening to us.
I don't want them to get
Like,
bored.
They're
or
going to check us
have
out.
Something to do.
They're going to listen to fucking Last Podcast on the Left, which I love you guys, or anything else. Like
But no, it's probably more prevalent amongst that group nowadays than the gangs over here.
They'll listen to nails on chalkboards before us. Like
I hope
Yeah.
you're right.
because they're like it'll toughen our reserves way. Charlie, you know,
and then the cops connect this to Satanism.
Satanism,
cult?
because the gangs, and I don't know how many they said, but it was a percentage of them in Donna. But all right, here's the deal. Donna
Yeah.
in the 90s, there was nothing to do. They may have had a McDonald's.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, they had a McDonald's and a gas station.
That's about it. I don't know.
And a bunch of scrap yards. And that's all there was in Donna.
oh yeah, man.
So next best thing, go to
But
McDonald's
that was like most of the
or
valley
Satanism?
though too.
Join the gang. Satanism will keep us cool. And yeah.
Is the kind of guys that are like spray painting like pentagrams everywhere around Donna and shit?
Yeah, probably. And the
Yeah.
thing is,
Yeah,
how many of
yeah.
these people just add that? I mean, these gangs, quote unquote gangs, little crime groups. Because who knows how big they really were.
Right.
I mean, there's the Tri-City Bombers, Southside San Carlos, operating in the area. Now, the Southside San Carlos probably, I don't even know how many people they could have possibly had. San Carlos wasn't that big back then. But these were
No.
gangs of the area. Now, they're not the Donna gangs, but
There-
how many of
there's
them-
like over 20 or something like that.
how many of them were doing this just because it was something? Hey, let's spray paint a pentagram on that building. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that'll
Do
make
that.
us cool.
Oh yeah, it's like spray painting the little stupid S on things. That's
Right.
not gang related, but it shows up anyway.
Right. I mean, how many people?
And it's not, and it's and considering like the kind of the gang infrastructure and taggers running around, it's probably pretty unlikely some random kid ran up and just drew a pentagram next to like some serious gang shit.
Well, no. What I'm saying,
Like they're like those motherfuckers iced like 3 dudes last week for like just like some bullshit, you know.
I don't even think back in the 90s there were that many people getting iced in Donna. That's the thing. And what I'm saying is, how many
That's
of
the rep,
these
though.
How many of these gangs were drawing pentagrams just because it was something they could draw that, ooh,
Yeah.
you know,
They were really into Slayer.
Just a lot of theatrics. That's what it is.
theatrics, shock value
Right.
kind of stuff.
Throw the cops off a little
Right.
bit.
How many people in high school, you know, were drawing, you know, pentagrams and upside down crosses and things like that on their
Anybody into Metallica, Slayer,
Trapper
Merciful
Keepers.
Fate, King Diamond?
Absolutely.
Yeah, everybody.
I mean,
Trapper Keeper. Bring it back.
I personally like the ones that had the zipper on them because you could use a whiteout.
You mean the
pin to draw on
5-star?
them. The 5-star.
Those are actually better, yeah.
I liked notebooks because on the back, like the cardboard part, I would write song lyrics from like Metallica and Slayer and shit.
Did you draw any pentagrams?
Negative.
Oh, but you were involved in the church then, right?
Well, I don't really care. I fucked around. Like I ran around in 6th grade. One of my best friends and I, Shelby, who I think Roland's met. I'm not sure if any of the rest of
Oh,
you.
yeah.
I've met him.
Yeah.
Oh, word. So Shelby and I used to run around our junior high saying we were God.
Nice.
To everybody, we didn't give a fuck.
Word up.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm all about the hedonism. I don't give a shit. Like,
But
and
I
I
mean,
probably never did. It was just like, I gotta fit into this social structure, and people go to church, and I should probably go to church. And this guy Jesus didn't have some terrible ideas.
but I was
And
just,
that's how you end up with the FBI fucking running tanks and blowing up your fucking house.
You know,
R.I.P.
that
David Koresh.
he was
mindset, I guess,
Seventh-day Adventist.
it's what got those West Memphis 3 guys in trouble too with their little Metallica.
Right. You want to talk about Satanic Panic? That was
That was
Satanic Panic
That
right
was Satanic
there.
Panic right there. Yeah.
And all because the same thing. They drew some stuff on a thing. Someone got off.
One of them read Wicca books.
Right.
Aleister Crowley. Yeah, ritualistic sacrifice allegedly. And yeah, you should check out that documentary, Paradise Lost 1 through 3.
They got
and
out.
then West Memphis Street. Yeah, they are out now.
Good for them.
Yeah, good for them. And now let's move on to our last bit of Satanic Panic in the Valley, and this kind of coincides with the Michelle Remembers book. It says Texas couple victimized in Satanic Panic.
So, all right. So this says Valley in the section in our Google Doc.
Right.
However, it's everything's happening in Travis County.
Yeah.
Like, where were these people based? Like, where was this couple at? Because I couldn't tell that from the article. So I just thought that they were just some like random gringos from fucking like the Austin area.
They were set up in Austin, I think,
Yeah.
is where their
This is more necessarily
so
like
I
the Valley,
said-
but it's Central Texas, really.
Yeah, okay, so that was my thing. It was just like when it was under the section, so like the whole time I was reading the article, I was like, well, where is it mentioned McAllen?
It had to have been McAllen, right?
surprise.
Or Brownsville, you know, like I don't who the fuck knows, but I was like that structure's fancy, and then it was like everything's like Travis County this, Travis County that, and then it's in the fucking Dallas newspaper. So I was like,
Yeah, this one I centralize it more
happening
since
here?
if it's the Rio Grande Valley necessarily, and we have, I mean, it's not too far from where we're at, so that's kind of it's in Texas, so
No,
that's kind of
it is. It's just I'm just sorry. It's just like I haven't slept for like a day, and it threw me off when I was reading the article. That's all.
word. Roland, did you happen to peruse this article here?
The Texas couple victimized.
That is correct.
No, I didn't actually. I'm looking at it right now, and
That's hilarious.
it looks dumb, but go right ahead.
Okay, so I'm just going to read some of the article here. It says,
Oh, okay. They are in New Braunfels, and it's a rent house.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that is in Travis County, so like Austin area. So yeah, New Braunfels is a jump closer than that. So yeah, I'll take that. Central
This
Texas claim.
couple's last name is the Kellers. It says the Kellers were some of the most cruelly maligned victims of the now forgotten front page panic of the 1980s and 90s. The tidal wave of bizarre accusations that a secret network of daycare owners and workers across the country engaged in satanic ritual abuse of young children in their care. And it says, viewed in retrospect, it seems that otherwise sensible people quite simply lost their minds. Social workers, therapists, prosecutors, and cops joined the fruitcake crusade that ruined people's lives based on the coerced claims of vulnerable little kids. And again, that's pretty much Michelle Remembers in a nutshell.
Oh, word. Okay.
But Michelle Remembers the daycare. I don't recall them ever finding out who those people were.
You never mentioned that, and I don't think there was a court.
Yeah, there
hearing,
wasn't, yeah.
and no one was missing fingers.
Gotcha.
No. It's just there was no actual. There were no actual people accused in the Michelle Remembers situation, and here there were real trials that went on in America of people getting accused of satanic ritual abuse, and this is just one of them that were in Texas. And it says dozens of investigations were launched, largely based on unverified claims by very young children that they had been tortured and sexually abused, pushed, often despite denials, to tell more by overwrought parents and badly trained therapists.
Another fucking Salem witch trials strikes again.
Oh, yeah.
Holy shit. This gets
Yeah.
dark, man.
Yeah, they were saying something like,
But
Yeah,
the
it's-
shit
it's,
they're accused for doing, man.
Yeah.
they got fucked
Fubar?
over. They
The
served
killer.
almost 40.
So these kids said
sentenced
the
to 40
killers
years.
disemboweled a baby, killed dogs,
Is it Michelle
cut
remembers?
a finger off of a gorilla.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Oh, Michelle remembers.
made the kids swim with sharks.
Flew the kids on an airplane to Mexico so they could be raped by soldiers,
And
had
then
them back
flown
in Oak Hill in time to
back.
be picked up by their parents.
Yeah.
They had to have a
With blood, swim in a pool of live sharks, handle body parts and rotting corpses, watch his playmates were
Kool-Aid
shot
mixed
with
with blood
guns.
is
This
fucking hilarious.
is
The prosecutor.
What I want to
everybody
know
involved in this
is
case,
where
they're
did they
fucking
find
trash.
any evidence?
Fucking
Was there
people.
like a fingerless gorilla running
They didn't.
around or a
where
shark
were the shark
anywhere?
bites?
It's
Like,
Harambe?
there's zero evidence.
like there was no
the article
evidence,
states
and
there
yet
was-
somehow they were
there's
still
nothing.
convicted.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is crazy.
It is.
Because it was
People are stupid,
it was a
that's why.
combination of the people that were interviewing them using like batshit insane techniques to pull out this information, and the media fucking.
It says
things
all
up.
the tales, all of these tales were elicited by professionals using now discredited questioning techniques that essentially urge these
Right.
impressionable children to invent and believe increasingly disturbing scenarios. And if you ask a kid enough times with who the witch is, the kid will give you what you want. And there was no physical evidence, zero, as the article says. A young and an inexperienced doctor who examined one child said that she could have been sexually abused, but later recanted when he learned that the child's genital injuries were actually a common developmental variation.
Somebody needs to go back to fucking medical school.
Yeah.
But see,
Guys-
I want to go back to the point that these people got convicted, and yet
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the prosecutor's office and the police did not produce a shark or a fucking gorilla or a jet plane that went to Mexico.
They
That
did
sounds
nothing.
like Epstein's jet plane, if we want to be honest with people.
True, yeah.
And imagine being these fucking investigators and social workers talking to these kids, and they're like, and then they threw us in a pool with sharks, and then they
Completely killed
the
one
gorilla, and then they took his
Like,
finger
really?
off, and like holy shit, and then these people are like eating
Then
it
aliens
up.
came
This
in and
is
probed us.
And how the hell did the grand
insane.
jury pass this off? At least one of those grand jury members should have been like, "Can we see
These
the
are
gorilla?"
adults,
Yeah.
right?
No, but the thing is, like, I think when we talked about the Michelle Remembers situation, is that it was hard for them not to believe the kids for some reason if they were like somewhat passionate. It looked like they're just recanting the story and they're saying it over and over again with levels of questioning that.
I'm sorry, if I'm a prosecutor or a fucking grand jury member, I want to see the goddamn shark.
Yeah, obviously, right?
And if I don't see the shark, guess what? Maybe we ought to not send this to trial.
You know what's funny?
What's that?
All these kids were probably just talking about Pokemon and shit.
Well, it was
and all these prosecutors are like, yeah, because they're like, and then when Charizard goes into the dungeon, and
Yeah. So these guys
then-
ended up serving like half their
then he
sentence
binds
before they
Bulbasaur and makes
Furthermore,
Bulbasaur do things for him.
you know,
Sorry,
these guys
that's
get
stupid
now
as fuck.
$83K a year, which they should.
No,
and I
they're-
feel
they're
that
trying to,
no,
yeah.
they are actually entitled
Oh,
to
they
it.
were?
They have yes.
Oh no, I absolutely I agree.
because they
I
were
agree.
wrongly convicted, and
Yeah.
that's the fund. So we have to pay them back for basically ruining their lives.
We have to, as taxpayers. we
And
have to
here's
pay
what
them
I
back,
have to say.
absolutely.
I feel that that money specifically should come from the prosecutor's office in the locality where they were tried as punishment for their stupidity of not finding a stupid fucking gorilla or a shark or a plane that went to Mexico.
Well, speaking of like the evidence and stuff like that, again with those West Memphis 3 guys, the courts kind of they released them without the courts getting blamed. You know, so like they had to like
Right, yeah, they were
they put in a
silent on the whole
guilty plea, and then they were released. But
appropriating
the court
responsibility.
realizing that they may have made a mistake, and they've been incarcerated all these years, so they released them.
They
but
downplayed it.
with that, I guess that stipulation.
They're
Yeah.
declared innocent.
Which they weren't necessarily wanting to do. At least one of them wasn't. But since the other two wanted out, he just went along with it and just went along with the guilty plea. And it says the Kellers were some of the last to remain incarcerated for what, by 2010, was generally regarded as a largely fictitious crime. In 2013,
That
the Texas
sucks,
Court
man.
of Criminal Appeals vacated the killer's convictions and ordered them released. The court was silent, however, on the question of their actual innocence. It came at long
They
last
should
this
go
week.
and find all. They should go and find all those fucking
So they basically
kids
had
that said all this
OJ and
shit later,
acquitted.
Actually, it gets
and
a little
confront
better.
all of them.
Says the declaration.
I mean, yeah.
Says the legal. Hold on here. That came at long last this week. Travis County DA Margaret Moore filed to have them declared actually innocent. It's a legal term meaning that there is not enough evidence to launch a new trial, and that a reasonable jury would not convict them. And the declaration also will permit them to apply for $80,000 a year in restitution from a state fund
Fuck yeah.
earmarked
Get
for
that
victims
money.
of wrongful convictions, compensation, the impoverished, couple of desperately needs, and family members say all this matters because new generations ferret out witches of their own. So, yeah.
They're fucking idiots. This society is trash. Hooray.
And the last bit of this article says, we are witness now to the blanket demonization of Muslims, of immigrants, of black drivers shot during police stops, and too often we rationalize our indifference with better safe than sorry, or if you didn't do anything wrong, there's no reason to worry, and try telling that to the Kellers. And this article came out, again, this was in the Dallas Morning News. This was in, I'm trying to find the fucking date here. It's 2017. June 22nd, 2017.
Never mind.
So don't think for a second that the Satanic Panic is over with and you can't get convicted or wrongly convicted, accused, all that kind of shit because of someone just accuses you of something and then people just believe it without evidence. It happens all the time.
Don't trust the court systems to prove your innocence.
Yeah. So, guys, really, we presented the stuff these kids talked about.
Yep.
About these two individuals.
That's right.
And no evidence of any of his bullshit was
right.
produced. And these guys still went to jail. You cannot trust our court system. You cannot trust cops.
Well,
You
that was the
cannot
1980s court system, but
kill Whitey symbolically. Don't come after me, but kill Whitey.
Daniel's white, by the way.
All right. Yeah. So don't come after me, please, but just kill Whitey. You know, the system. Get after that because it's just wrong, guys. We can do better than this. I really believe that. You know. So that's my hammered moment. I guess,
So
for this
Daniel,
episode.
again, none of this
what's up,
in the
man?
trial is necessarily surprising because again, Michelle remembers exact same thing. A lot of accusations, a lot of
I'll check out the episode, man,
recanting
and
of,
just see what's up
and we
with
get
that
pretty
shit,
thorough
and
in
no
the-
evidence.
no evidence, and
Wow.
we get pretty thorough on
Jesus
like what
fuck.
exactly she was recounting as far as like the abuse that she had to go through. It's pretty graphic, and so I mean, we always I think we warned everyone beforehand that we were going to get into all that detailed shit, and it's only touched upon
Icky
in this
stuff,
article
yeah.
here. So I mean, there's a lot of defecation. There's blood dripping all over children. There's sexual things happening. It's pretty insane.
Fuck's sake.
Yeah, I mean, and people just ate it up and thought it was real. And again, there was no evidence. There's no real evidence because people have gone through and tried to prove any of her story. And basically what happened was there was no evidence whatsoever to the contrary.
Fuck, man.
But what happens is that they asked the writer, which is, I forgot, Dr. Pazder and Michelle, if they still believed any of this existed. And all she says is, it's what I remember. And left it at that.
Shit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
So that is our dive into Satanic Panic. It's
that
exhausting.
last bit you wrote on there, Ray, about the Elsa stories. That's
We
not really
know.
a panic bit. It's more of a folk silliness.
Yeah,
That's
and
really
we'll
not-
get to that at some point.
not
That's
part of
why
this.
we'll talk about that some other time.
We'll save that sacrifice that we talked about earlier.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, for
Well,
sure.
I don't know if
time.
you told them about it, but yeah,
About
we'll
what?
save that for this.
Oh yeah, we're gonna save that for some other time.
Yeah.
We Brian looks exhausted because again,
I can only take so much stupid.
it takes a lot out of you with all this ridiculous bullshit that comes out of people's mouths, and then people just believe it without any sort of evidence to back it up, or any sort of
I'm sorry, I have
reasonable
my
logic.
conviction, guys.
Go ahead.
I said I'm sorry. I have my convictions.
Oh yeah. Hey, these are things that people need to be aware of, and just realize there's a lot of stupid out there, a lot of fucking stupid, and people will believe shit.
Fuck boys, this was fun, man.
People will believe this shit just blindly, and that happens all the fucking time.
Don't be surprised.
And it shouldn't shock you anymore at this point in time.
Nope.
All this information is on the internet. There are books everywhere regarding these topics, and I highly recommend checking those out.
That was 5 minutes ago here.
Oh no, let me see here. Which one,
And
this
if
one right
you happen to encounter Ray in the wild, he can point you in the right direction for some.
here? Yeah. There's a little. Hold on,
call it
real
his,
quick, guys. There was a
bread and
5-minute
butter.
post on Facebook said, "Did anyone else see the 9 or 10 lights moving in the straight line across the western sky, or should I slow down on my drinking?"
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
So there might have been something out here
there might
in
have
the
been something
valley,
out there
like-
right now
and,
as we are recording. Right, fucking now.
Ray,
and we didn't see it because we're recording
Yeah,
inside.
inside.
Ray, if that was some sort of like subliminal trick to tell me to slow down drinking, yeah, it didn't work, buddy.
No,
I could send you the screenshot if you want.
send the screenshot of it over Discord, please.
I'm going to use
Yeah, I'm
Facebook
interested.
Messenger because I don't know where my Discord.
Okay, well, send it
is.
through the messenger. That'll work just fine.
I'll bite.
Okay, so anyone have anything else to add regarding the satanic
Satan
panic?
rules.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
That's,
so
Oh, there it is.
all right, guys, this was a pretty exhausting little recording here, and we'll be back.
Exhaustive.
We'll be exhaustive. There you go. Well, it was exhausting
Yeah.
and
Exhausting.
exhaustive. Yeah, it was both.
There you go.
So stay tuned for our Books of the Strange. That's going to be the book Communion by Wheatley Strieber. And
I may even read it.
you may even read it. Yeah, we have time. So you check that out whenever it does come out. It should be in
Is there
about.
an audiobook on that?
I don't think so.
Oh.
But I can lend you my copy after I'm done.
I need a digital version that Stephen Hawking can read to me as I drive my
There's a
lawnmower.
digital copy, I think. But you would have to look it on your phone, I think.
Yeah, I need to text to speech it.
All right, gotcha.
Stephen Hawking's will read to me.
Right on. Okay, so that is Valley Strange, episode number 6, the continuation of Satanic Panic. Check out episode 3 for a thorough look at what sparked this whole thing. Michelle remembers, and you can't really find the book anywhere. I happen to have a copy of the original pressing. You might find it for cheap, or you might find it for hundreds of dollars.
Original
depending.
print.
Original print. I have the original print.
First
Actually,
edition.
it's a Highlander situation. You got to behead the person who has the copy.
So yeah, check out those episodes. Check out any of our other episodes of Fat Food for Fat People, Anatomy Mixtape, and CineQuest Video. So I want to just say farewell on that because we need to go have a break. My name is Ray,
Brian.
and in San Antonio,
Oh, this is Roland.
and in Washington,
This is Daniel.
Daniel's first episode
Thanks
of
for listening,
Valley
dudes.
Strange. I hope we tired you
Indeed.
out on this one, Daniel. I hope it was fun for you.
Oh well, we still have another show to do, so I'm ready to leave.
Oh yeah, let's get it. We're gonna have another break.
we
and
got
then-
only the strong to do, motherfuckers.
That's right.
Yeah.
Check out our first CineQuest of 2020.
I'm
Only
so
the
excited
strong.
about this. Fuck. Like I really am, dudes. I am pumped about this.
All right.
God damn, I love that movie.
Patreon, Instagram.
Fuck.
All right. So we'll see you next time. Embrace the strange.
Little midgets come into my house. Hey, it's ridiculous. I had some kind of a rectal probe. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Ridiculous.